All right, so in the last video, we saw the rise of Hitler, and I mentioned that not all Germans were Nazis. Like, the majority weren't. So the question arises, why did they allow Hitler to be in power for so long? The short answer is he delivered on one of his major promises. He promised that if he was in charge, the German economy would get better, and it did. And it got better through rearmament, through military buildup, which violated the Treaty of Versailles. But someone had to build the ships and the tanks and the airplanes and all the other stuff that Hitler wasn't even supposed to have because of the Treaty of Versailles. So if you're the average German, you go from no job to job because of Hitler's policies. You're going to let things slide. Also, he created that job by violating the treaty that you thought was unfair anyway. You could tell yourself, well, he's just restoring German pride. Yes, he's anti Semitic, but hey, there's a lot of anti Semites in Europe. It's not that big of a deal. You can let it slide. And by the time some people realize how bad it's going to be, the Nazis are so firmly entrenched in power that it's going to be hard to remove them. Others become convinced through propaganda. The Nazis were masters at it. They had a whole division of the government devoted to it. And the minister of propaganda was Joseph Goebbels, once again, another true believer in the Nazi cause, like Heinrich Himmler. And he is a master at propaganda. The Nazis effectively used radio and movies. In fact, there was a famous Nazi propaganda film called The Triumph of the Will. That is, so if you couldn't get to the big Nuremberg rallies held every year, you could watch this. And Triumph of the Will, from a pure movie perspective, is rather historical. It had cutting edge techniques involved and video footage from an airplane, and that was relatively new. And people flocked to see Triumph of the Will. Joseph Goebbels, as I said, was an excellent minister of propaganda, and it helps that he's a true believer in the cause as well. He said National Socialism is a religion. All we lack is a religious genius capable of uprooting outmoded religious practices and putting new ones in their place. We lack traditions and rituals. One day soon, National Socialism will be the religion of all Germans. My party is my church, and I believe I serve the Lord best if I do his will and liberate my oppressed people from the fetters of slavery. That is my gospel. So Joseph Goebbels is going to go about creating a political party that's very much like a religion. So they have their Messiah, right? They have Hitler, and this propaganda image as well is reminiscent of that story from the Bible where Jesus is baptized, and as he comes out of the River Jordan, the Holy Spirit descends as a dove. So as the sky opens up, the Holy Spirit descends as a dove. And this, the Nazi Messiah is leading the people. The skies open up, and it's not a dove, a symbol of peace, but an eagle, symbol of power and strength. They have their Bible, right? Mein Kampf, which becomes a bestseller. Everybody had to own a copy of it. They have their powerful symbols, the swastika. They did not develop the swastika. It's an ancient symbol used throughout Europe and Asia. It used to mean, before the Nazis took it over, it used to mean good luck and prosperity, and it's associated with the sun and with life. They started having ceremonies every year. They'd have the big Nuremberg rally. They'd gather together. See, the Nazis understood something. A crowd is easier to control than a person. You are less intelligent in a group than you are by yourself. It's called a mob mentality. Think about how often you do stupid stuff with your friends. Right? You are less intelligent in a group. The bigger the crowd, the less intelligent the crowd is, and the more emotional it is. Then they start having ceremonies. In the beer hall push, Nazis were killed in the beer hall push, and one of the Nazi flags fell to the ground. Eventually that flag was recovered, and it was called the blood flag. You see it on the left side of your screen. It became a religious symbol. And new Nazi banners were anointed in the blood flag. It's the blood, remember, is so important. Pure Aryan blood. And there was even a monument to those fallen Nazis in the beer hall push. They were treated like martyrs would be. And so you have all this powerful religious symbolism, and they're tapping in to it. And then you add to that the Hitler Youth, which remember in fascist Italy they had that as well. Um, these would be designed or look like almost like camps, but it was a tool of propaganda. You actually had young people turn in their parents for being against the Nazis and against Hitler. And they encouraged boys to join the military. They encouraged girls to give birth to as many Aryans as possible, even if it was out of wedlock. And it begins to corrupt the youth of Germany.